Hi and welcome back to another video. Today I am going to talk about all the rumors going around that Tasha K of Unwind with Tasha K is gonna be sued by Dennis McKinley and Porsha Williams, right? Let me tell you something. I personally don't think they are gonna sue Tasha K because they don't have a case against her. Plain and simple. Everything she said. Now, Tasha K did two different exposés on Dennis McKinley, right? Now, she calls them exclusives. I call them exposés because to me an exclusive is like an interview. An exposé is more like a story, alright? Like a piece you do on somebody. So I'm going to call them exposés. She did two exposés on Dennis McKinley. Now everybody's saying Dennis McKinley is going to sue Tasha K because he says he lawyered up. First of all, if you're gonna sue somebody, you don't need to announce it to the world, right? You don't need to put any indication out there that you're gonna sue them if you're really gonna sue them, right? But if the information they put out on you is damaging and you need to deflect, then you put out something like that. Yes, you lawyered up, you put that information out there, because then that's gonna make people feel like, oh, he feels strongly about this, so she must be lying. So that way you can deflect it and make it seem like, oh, she lying, I'ma sue her. Believe that, right? But until you see the lawsuit, ain't no lawsuit, it's just talk, okay? And I'm gonna tell you something. Personally, I think Tasha K want people to sue her. I don't think she gives a shit. I think she want them to sue because guess what? When you sue, she can countersue, right? She can countersue because if she put out a story and she got the receipts to back up the information that she put out on you, and you claim that she's lying and you're suing her, but she can prove in court that she got the information to back up everything she say, then you're going to be paying her because you filing that lawsuit is indicating that she is lying in her profession, which means that's defamation of character. You are alleging that she is being unprofessional and untruthful in her work. That's her job. That's her career. You're defaming what she does. So when you sue, be careful. Don't just get all up in your feelings and get in your pride. Make sure you really can prove what you are saying is wrong. Okay? Now, let me explain something to you. Tasha K alleged that Dennis McKinley was a scammer. And piece of the information she used to do this is in the very first expose she did on him, where she said, well, actually, now that I think about it, she did like three exposés on him. So the second one, the most recent two she did. The very first one of the most recent two, because I think she did one way back in the day on him. Now, the one she did recently, where she went into great details about his ex-girlfriend that he was with, that he was in business with her, and he then basically, it's alleged that he basically stole the business from under her. And she took him to court and sued him, and they settled the situation out of court. Now, that is what that's one of the things she used to allege that he's a scammer. Now, whether or not he actually did those things, actually stole the business from that woman or whatever the situation was, we don't know that. It's all alleged. But what we do know is that that situation actually took place in terms of the lawsuit. There was actually a lawsuit filed by this woman against Dennis McKinley. So that is factual information. Now, if somebody filed a lawsuit against you saying that you stole from them, somebody else could take that information, look at it, and come to the conclusion that you might be a scammer. Now, since they don't know for sure that you're a scammer, they can say alleged because the information would lead them to believe it, but since they weren't there, all they can do is say alleged. That, alleged really means this. I've collected a certain amount of information about you on something, right? This information leads me to believe that this conclusion is more likely accurate about you. So if I'm getting a bunch of information that you have done people wrong, you have stole money from people, you have been involved in money making schemes and things like that, I wasn't there, I wasn't witness to these things, but all the information I'm getting would lead me to believe that, yeah, this guy's a scammer, right? But since I wasn't a witness to any of this, all I can do is say you're an alleged scammer, because that information would lead me to believe that, right? Alleged basically is when you say somebody is allegedly this or they allegedly do that, what you're really saying is I've got information, I received information saying they did it, and I believe this information, it adds up, but I was not there. So it has to be an alleged. Alright? When you go to the police, anything you tell them, if you report a crime to the police, you say somebody did something to you, it's an allegation, right? The police wasn't there, they didn't witness it. All they can do is take that information and look into it. And even when they find evidence, it's still an allegation. Even when they take it to the district attorney to be prosecuted, it's all allegations until 12 people decide they believe it and that person is guilty. So this idea that what Tasha K is saying is she's lying. Everybody who hates her says she is lying. But in order for you to be lying, right, she would literally have to sit down and just brainstorm and say, I'm going to make up this stuff about Dennis McKinley. I'm going to say he's a scammer. I'm going to say he's a cheater. I'm going to say all these other things about him. I'm just going to make it up without any basis for that. No. She didn't make that stuff up without any basis. She gathered information and she used that information, okay, to put out a narrative that she believes to be true based on the information she collected. But since she was not a witness to any of it, that's where the alleged comes in. Alleged is saying, I believe this is true based on my documentation, but I wasn't there. And at the end of the day, if you are not a witness to something, having knowledge of it, all it is to you is an alleged situation. You didn't see it. You don't know it really happened. Alright? But she's not making this stuff up. Now, is she maybe embellishing it? Is she maybe being a great storyteller and maybe selling it to the public for them to really believe it and take it to be more serious than it might actually be? So is she embellishing it? That's a possibility. That's a possibility. I mean, you know, she's got a very rambunctious personality. She's a great storyteller. So yes, storytellers embellish. But just because you embellish something and make it seem more important than it is, does not make it a lie. Just because I tell you something in such a way that I want you to truly believe what I'm saying, doesn't make what I'm saying a lie. So, what case would Dennis McKinley have against Tasha K? None. He has no case against her. Nothing she said in any of those exposés on him is defamatory in the sense that she made it up. Okay? Is the information could possibly hurt his image? Sure. But is it something that she just pulled out of thin air and said it about him? No. She got some information. And then she probably looked into that information and got some other information from some other sources, maybe unrelated sources, and they seem to corroborate. So when you keep going and you're getting information that's adding up to what you were originally told, then you come to the conclusion that this is probably true, but I wasn't there, I didn't witness any of it, so it's all alleged, right? And that's what she said. So nothing she actually says is a suable offense. Now if she had just flat out made it up, yes, you could sue her, but it wouldn't make sense. Like, she can't tell a narrative like that. A lot of the information she put out there about Dennis McKinley, she couldn't get from random people. That's another thing. You gotta listen to the stuff she say, right? You gotta listen to the stuff she say. The stuff she puts out there, the stuff she put out there about him, is not stuff you can just get from some random person. This is information that you can only get from people who were close to this person, who at some point was close to this person. Like, some of that stuff is personal detail. You can't just randomly make up personal details about a person, right? So if somebody were to tell you something about me and I heard it and I know it's true, I would also know this could only have come from a close source. There's no way some random person knew this, alright? The only way a random person would know it is if, again, it has to go back to the source. At some point, somebody close to you told somebody. And maybe now that somebody, who could be perceived as a random person, is telling somebody else. But it initially has to come from a close source. So the type of information that Tasha K is putting out on Dennis McKinley, you can listen to it. A lot of that stuff is personal. She can just sit down and just make that up, okay? This idea that she's making up stuff on people, you can't just sit down and make up stuff like that. There has to be a foundation. There has to be a foundation, alright? I do not believe she's making it up, and I don't believe he's gonna sue, because if he's smart, he'd realize he has no basis for a lawsuit. The only thing that would happen is she would countersue him, and more than likely he would end up losing and owing her. You know, sometimes people bait you. I think, honestly, I'm telling you again, I really do think Tasha K wants people to sue her. I really do. Like, people, these celebrities get so deep into their feelings. Like, she'll do a story and it'll be popping for a couple of minutes. It'll be popping for a couple of days, maybe a week. And then before you know it, everybody forgets about it. Everybody forgets about it. But these celebrities, they get all in their feelings and they want to talk about suing. They get all hurt. I want to sue Tasha K. Really, just let that shit go. Let it go, because the minute you file that lawsuit against her, you're giving her a reason to file a lawsuit against you. Do you really want to go down that road? It's not worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, a lot of these stories she do don't amount to anything. They're hot for a minute, but they don't really amount to anything. Especially like with Dennis McKinley, it just makes him look like a bad person. It doesn't make him look like he's committed any criminal act. There's nothing that she said about him. This isn't like R. Kelly, where it could land him in prison. Nothing really she said about Dennis McKinley is gonna land him in prison. Okay? So, why go down that rabbit hole? He would be a fool. Like, I wouldn't sue. That makes no sense. You are opening up a door that you really don't want to open up. Alright? And my gut feeling is that he's not gonna sue Tasha K. That is my gut feeling. Any lawyer that advised him to sue is not interested in his best interest. They just want to get paid, because he has no case. He really has no case, right? Everything she said is alleged, and I'm sure she's got her documentation. Whether you think those documentations are valuable or not, it's not necessarily your decision to make. Unless you're sitting on the jury, it's not your decision to make. Alright? I hear people saying, oh, people are gonna set her up and give her false information. Let's examine it. Let's say somebody call her or contact her and give her false information, right? And let's say she goes and everybody she contacts is verifying this false information. But she has a documentation trail that says, okay, I got this information from this person. I got in touch with other people and they all verified this. And then I did my story and I said, based on this information, it's alleged that this is what's going on. Even if that information was all lies that she got, he still can't sue her because she has a trail, right? When a reporter does a story, do you think they know for sure that the information they're getting is true? You don't know for sure anything you get is true. Anything anybody tells you is true. You are going on an assumption, and you're going, and the information, as long as it's adding up, that's what you're gonna use. Even if it's a lie, Even if a lie is adding up, you're gonna believe it's true. Does that mean that you shouldn't do the story? Realistically, the only way you can prevent yourself from being sued by anybody is not to do the story at all. But if every time you get information you don't do the story, you're not going to be in business. If every time Tasha K gets some information and she's worried about getting sued, she would never do a story. She would never do a story. It makes no sense. She may as well just retire and say, I'm not doing this anymore, right? Because nobody, no reporter, nobody, blogger, reporter, whatever, I don't care who comes and give you information, unless you was there and you cite for yourself, you don't really know that it's true. You lean towards it being true based on a certain percentage. Like maybe based on all the information that you're getting and what you're verifying, you say, I think 97% of this is true, right? Even if you go 99%, that 1% of not knowing whether it's for real true, that's you, because you weren't there. You did not see this for yourself. You did not witness any of this for yourself. There's absolutely no way you can say for sure that you know it happened. Nobody can. So this idea that she can be sued because people might be lying to her, well, people could be lying to anybody. There's no real way of knowing for sure anything is 100% true. But yet, every single day, newspapers write stories about people. They put out exposés and opinions and all kinds of stuff about people based on information that they get, that they believe to mostly be true. But they cannot say 100% that we know this is true, because they didn't witness it for themselves. And the best they can do is say this is alleged. This is alleged. That's all you can do. And guess what? It's okay within the realm of the law. So realistically, Dennis McKinley has no case against Tasha K. But if he files a lawsuit against her, he opens himself up now. See, Tasha K can't just out the blue, she can't sue him. She cannot sue him. But the minute he files a lawsuit against her, then he opens himself up. Be careful. You know, don't walk into any traps with blindfolds on. Tasha K knows what she's doing. She's not stupid. She knows what she's doing. And he has no case. Any lawyer tells him you can sue her, you should sue her, is not a good lawyer. They are not a good, I would not trust that lawyer, and I would not put my situation in that lawyer's hands, because it makes no sense. So, my conclusion is this. I don't expect to see any lawsuit from Dennis McKinley filed against Tasha K. None. Zero. Unless he's a fool. Then he might sue her. And you better sure as hell know she gonna countersue him. And it probably would be a lot easier for her to prove him as being defamatory than for him to prove her being defamatory. Okay? So, be careful. People out there thinking they can sue just, oh, I'm gonna sue this person, I'm gonna sue that person. Sometimes you sue somebody, you're just making a headache for yourself. Sometimes it's best to just let that shit die off and keep it moving. Okay? So, that's all I have to say about that. Have a good day.